All right, guys, here I am, my first Facebook Live, thanks to the pressure from my buddy Sarah Lee. I got in and I was excited because I love talking about what I do, but a little bit nervous. But I thought, we all love bloopers, right? So I'm sure I'm going to have plenty on here that you guys can laugh at my mistakes. But I want to use this opportunity to share some of the things that I'm working about, but I really want to hear from you. What do you guys want to hear about? I firmly believe that there is this place that we can mutually enjoy food, have fun with food, but also be able to perform better, whether it's as an athlete, whether it's in your job, a parent, providing foods for your family. We've just become this culture of, I call it nutrition snobbery, that we have to evaluate everything we eat, and it really ends up using all of our energy that could be better served to go elsewhere. So what I've started to do is, as you can see, I love to post on social media, and I always try to keep up with the latest research, but also trying to have some fun. And for me, wellness incorporates all sorts of different topics with nutrition, exercise, movement, stress management, and sleep. And so providing little tidbits of information on how you can manage this best, and keeping it fun and keeping it real. So what I've done, and I would love for you to go to my website that I had done by Stephanie Honke. She did an amazing job, www.beccamcconville.com, and sign up for our newsletter. Not only do I hope to give little tidbits of information, but I want to share with you what's going on locally and some of the amazing colleagues that I have around that are doing great things too, so I can surround you with good science-based resource. As you know, March is National Nutrition Month. We have some awesome RDs in the area. So on our podcast, so I have a podcast called Fit for a Queen, and it's a play on words that stands for the female athlete trying to balance performance, health, intellect, and time for self. So we're featuring dietitians. Today, Heather Kaplan from Lane 9 was released, talking about their movement to provide education on the female athlete triad, something I've devoted my whole career to. Last week, we had Nancy Clark. So she's like the original sports dietitian that looked at athletes and disordered eating, was featured on a Wheaties box. So that was pretty cool, like being able to interview somebody that's always been an icon in the field and somebody that kind of paved the way. We have Mitzi Dulon, who's a local Kansas City dietitian that's really known nationwide. Now even has her energy bites called Simply Fuel that you can go to her website and get. She has a new one called Brownie Batter. That's really good. So it's exciting to see what dietitians are doing outside the normal spectrum of just eat this, don't eat that. We have a whole lot more cool things that we do. So please sign up for my newsletter so we can stay in touch. My colleague Katie Harvey has a fantastic blog that she has that talks about relationship with food. As a mom, how you can better provide and create a healthier environment around eating, exercise, you name it. I'm very excited to be a part of Bellator, which is a new intensive outpatient program that opened up in Lenexa, Kansas during National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. It's been created by 4. There is 3 therapists and then a dietitian/therapist that since college always had this idea to open this intensive outpatient, and they did it. So I teach one of the nutrition groups there, and I'm transitioning my outpatient office over there so that I have a permanent office. I'm sad to leave Insight, but after having 11 years of living out of a backpack, traveling offices, I'm ready to have somewhere that I can put as my own. So other things I want to kind of keep up with is, hi Bertha. I'm not used to seeing these comments on here. Books that I'm reading that I really love. I would show you Running in Silence, but I borrowed it to one of my buddies. Rachel Steele is doing a phenomenal movement right now in the running community. She's been really, truly honest about her struggles as a runner and how she had binge eating, and really is trying to break some of the stigma that's out there when we see runners. And she's also coming out with a book too. We did interview her for the podcast. Not sure when that'll be released, but I highly recommend that book for anybody out there that's struggling with disordered eating or eating disorders. She really puts a good perspective of how it starts out innocent. I do a lot of times trying to defend that nobody intentionally decides to get an eating disorder. I always, kind of flippantly joke that nobody wakes up and says, hey, today is the day I'm going to decide to have an eating disorder. It usually starts with just simply, I'm going to eat a little healthier. And they don't realize how far they've taken it, and then that's when it starts to compromise their health. So she does a good job with that. The other one, I do have one here. I'm working on a presentation proposal with Patrick Devney on how I believe males and eating disorders have been overlooked, and that's the Adonis complex that was written a long time ago. That talks about how we really need to look at how we assess males differently and how they typically present more focus on muscle, and they don't have that quote-unquote anorexic thin look. So I'm really excited to dive into that and provide some more awareness in that area as well. Let's see. See, you get in here and then you start to get nervous and you forget what to talk about. So I'm sporting my Jayhawk shirt. Hopefully everybody's excited about March Madness. Watched the game last night where within 4 seconds, I think it was Arkansas and Texas Tech had the lead, and then somebody scored, got within 1, and then somebody went full court, coast to coast, and was able to win. I was like, that's why I love March Madness and basketball. So that's another part too, is now stepping into the role from collegiate athlete to now mom to being a coach of youth, as how can we balance our messages that we give out to our youth so that they can also start on the good foot. So when I look at nutrition, I want to be able to feel my body to its best, but I also think that we have to have enjoyment. So really learning to stay connected. I encourage most everybody to take chapter by chapter of intuitive eating. They now have a workbook, and it'll talk about ways that you can connect with your body and how it can better serve you. But you'll see in there that you can get away with eating brownies, cupcakes. Nothing happens to your body, and you get the enjoyment from that. The Olympics were a great time to showcase that. They had articles about somebody had sea salt. Now I'm craving it. Sea salt chocolate chip cookies that they had every day at 3 o'clock for their afternoon snack, but yet they were an Olympian. So I use that as powerful data that just because you eat these foods doesn't mean that you're destined to not perform well. Matter of fact, we got Olympic gold medal athletes that are incorporating that into their daily training. Another person was talking about how they enjoyed their chocolate mousse after performing, and again, we're talking Olympians. So I really strive for everybody to have that balance and enjoyment. So I'm also in the works of trying to create some online module programs that talk about energy deficit. So I'd love everybody's ideas that they have. You can contact me and leave me questions through my website. It will directly email to me or put it on our Facebook post. Other things that we're slowly working on is a YouTube station. So our podcast is on YouTube, but we also are working on some easy cooking, 5 minutes or less, one-pot pastas, you name it, for those that are time-strapped, and just kind of some other fun nutrition debunked, but science-related information that you can go and use. So if you look for that on YouTube, it's In Power. So it's a play on words, in, so I-N, power, and that's because we want you to be in power of your body and what you do for your fuel. So let me check, since I'm not used to this, and trying to see if there's any questions that you guys may have, topics that you want covered. I'm really trying to learn this whole social media, and it's kind of stepping me out of my comfort zone, but you really don't change unless you learn to do that. So I'm really excited. Other things that are coming up is Kara Shellman and I are going to be presenting at the Missouri Dietetic and Kansas Dietetic called Blending Borders conference, talking about walking the line, which is discussing this kind of unintentional perfectionism around food and weight with athletes and how that ends up developing into a disordered eating and eating disorder. So we're excited to take that on a bigger platform as well. Whew. Okay, I think I survived. I hope to come on at least about 10 minutes every Friday, share what's going on. I'll have more topics, but just kind of wanted to give an introduction about what I do, what we're working on. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you all have a great Friday. I'm hoping this will be my first weekend getting a break from basketball. I love it. I love coaching, but I'm ready for some self-care downtime. So sneak a ride in on my horse before the rain comes in, and then going to watch Wrinkle in Time. So I do try to practice what I preach, not all the time, but self-care is a must this weekend for myself. So hope you all have a great Friday, and I look forward to connecting next week.